The great homogenization of 40k has actually missed something, which is that 40k tends to be a very personal thing. And everyone likes to build their armies in their own personal way. And every single person is an individual. And trying to make us all the same is what is causing some rifts in 40k. This is all, one of the big things, and this is one of the things to, to really sort of think about. Is this just a transition period? Is it just a transition period? Will we all, I think all of the pain that we feel at the moment, I think a lot of that can be rectified with 11th edition. And I actually, do you know what's interesting? I am never one of these people, and I mean never one of these people that says, oh, the new edition will fix it. That's not what I mean. I don't really care about, balance and stuff like that. I mean, I care about it to a certain degree. But a lot of people, when they say the new edition will fix it, they're talking from a gameplay point of view. And, as we always say, models are, rules are temporary, models are forever. Well, I think one of the things that has happened with 10th edition is so many models have been lost. So many models have been lost. And I think that's what's causing so much pain at the moment, so much angst, is the fact that there are big gaps in people's collections. And I think what 11th edition needs to do more than anything else, on pain of death, literally above all else, what 11th edition needs to do is be the edition of gain. I think all of the I want to say this. I think every single problem in Warhammer 40k can be fixed. Every single one of them. Flavor, vibes, codexes, power, everything. Balance. All of that. All of that. I think it can all be fixed with 11th edition being the edition of gain. 10th edition has been, frankly, a fucking massacre. It has been a massacre. Hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of data sheets. I would say I would say literally hundreds of data sheets have been invalidated. By the time 10th edition is done, hundreds, if not 1,000 plus data sheets will have been invalidated. That might be an exaggeration, but we'll say at least triple digits of data sheets will have been invalidated. And that's just data sheets. The knock-on effect of the thousands upon thousands of models which will have been invalidated is frankly mind-boggling. And the gaps that have been created in factions and the one-dimensional nature that has been forced upon certain factions is mind-boggling. It's game-breaking. What 11th edition needs to do, it needs to just be the edition of gain. People have been dreading their codexes coming out, fearing what they're going to lose. 11th edition needs to be, every codex drops with 10 plus additional units. I know that sounds insane, but I'm talking, for the guard, for example, we need like plastic Krieg Grenadiers, we need the Centaur Light Carrier, we need the Macarius, we need flyers coming back, we need 10, we need generic infantry squads coming back, all regiments of renown. We need 10 plus new units. Just fill all the gaps in, from conscripts to super heavies, fill all the gaps in. That bang, one drop, no fucking around. And then the next faction needs to be, and then you've got things like orcs, like generic orc buggies, all sorts of stuff like that. Tau, all the different we need like 10 different auxiliary races for Tau. That's what we need. That's what we need. We need 11th edition and 12th edition to just be editions of gain, because right now I think the number one thing that is killing, I would say not killing, the number one thing that explains 90% of the issues with Warhammer 40k is how much has been lost. The game has been slashed to the fucking bone. It's emaciated. It's barren. It's a skeleton. It is literally the shadow of its former self. The shadow is all that remains. We need to get meat back on the fucking bone. We need 11th edition needs to be gluttonous. It needs to be like, we can't take this anymore. Like, we need, everyone needs to be like, what the fuck is Games Workshop possibly going to come up with next? That's what 11th edition needs to be. And if 11th edition is that, and they don't need to do it all in one edition. They could roll this out over 6 years if they wanted to give themselves time, over 11th edition and 12th edition. If GW did that, oh my god, it would restore everything. I mean everything. No one would be able to touch them. They would be untouchable. Every faction fully fleshed out, restored to their former glory and more. Not restored to their former glory, but restored to their former glory and then taken to the next level. That's what 11th edition and 12th edition should be delivering. I really, really hope they do, because then the hype train will have no brakes. The only reason people are looking at other games, both inside the GW bubble and outside the GW bubble, is because they're desperate for something, anything to be excited about. There's, look at today's stream. Look at today's stream. There is so much bad shit going on in the world. We're not going to get into the details of it, all right? But there's so much bad shit in the world. People are they just want to be able to come home from the bad shit at work, the bad shit at the world, and just be like, I want to look forward to my hobby. I want to look forward to me Warhammers. That's what I want to look forward to. And then when they come home from the mad shit that's going on at work, that's going on in their lives, that's going on in the world, and then they get home and they're like, and then their hobby is shitting on them as well. People are desperate for something to be excited about. That's why the backlash to Horus Heresy was so massive. Because people are just fucking desperate at the moment to just have anything that's going to give them a modicum of fucking excitement. I'm not saying people are unhappy. I mean, I'm sure some people are unhappy. But you need to have something to look forward to in your life. And for a lot of people, their hobby is where, I've talked about this before, everyone needs wins in their life. Some people get wins from their family. Some people get wins from their work. But for a lot of people, a lot of tabletop wargamers, let's not talk about general things, let's talk about specific things. For a lot of tabletop wargamers, the thing that gives them their win in life is their hobby. Be it a project that they're working on, something they're painting on, looking forward to a game, a list that they're looking forward to playing, winning games, winning tournaments, whatever it may be. You need those wins in your life. It doesn't have to be a physical win of a game, but it has to be a win in some form and some capacity. And I think the big thing that has been the problem with 10th edition is, there's been some wins, but by and large, it feels like we've literally, physically lost things out of our factions, lost things out of our hobby in general. And when there's so much mad shit going on in the world, people just want something to be excited for. And literally, the only reason people's heads are getting turned, my head's getting turned, half the people in this fucking chat, their heads are getting turned. The only reason people's heads are getting turned is because they want to be excited about their hobby. Why do you think that there's been no drama around, little to no drama around Votann? You've got some people saying they don't like the Steeljacks or anything like that, but by and large, Votann have come out and everyone has been happy with it. The vast majority of people have been happy with it. Why? Because Votann gained. Everyone else was losing shit, and Votann got the second half of their faction release, and everyone was happy. Everyone was not only happy for Votann, they were getting second-hand happiness for themselves. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. People want to look forward to their hobby, and the number one way they look forward to the hobby is with releases. And I'm sorry, but a single fucking character no one gives a fuck. Why do you think Guard players were initially so happy with their release, but in the long run have ended up being a little bit sad about the release? Because they were so happy because it looked like we were getting loads of stuff. We by and large, we got a pretty fucking good release. We got a pretty good fucking good release. But the problem was, is after the high of the release had faded away, we realized that we had lost way more than we had gained. And so overall, we became sad. You look at Eldar, though. Eldar, by and large, didn't lose a huge amount of stuff. They just had a load of stuff remade. Eldar are happy. You know, they didn't gain a huge amount. They didn't lose a huge amount. They got a bunch of stuff remastered. Fantastic. Brilliant. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. That's why you don't really... And, you know, also... You know, that's why Eldar players, you don't see them really... You know, you don't really see them worried. Factions that gain... But, you know, Eldar and Votann really are the only ones you can point to. You know, to be fair, Eldar, I think, sort of came out to a meh more than anything else. But I think maybe overall it balanced out. But anyway, the point is, the reason why the vast majority of... Not the vast majority. The reason why there is a general sense of frustration is not just the day-to-day usual upset bleating of wargamers. It's because people need something to be excited to. And I guarantee if Games Workshop wants to make a lot of money, I'm talking a lot of money, and if they want to fucking destroy the competition, the burgeoning competition, because it's only burgeoning, it's in its primordial phase, it's just starting to become single-celled life. But, you know, if they're not careful, soon it'll start growing fins and then legs, it'll be walking on land. GW, you gotta be careful. But the GW wanted to fucking reclaim everything, become ultimate dominance, more so than they are now, and make an ungodly amount of money along the way. They need to reclaim the hype, and the way they reclaim the hype is they open the fucking forges. Like I said, every single release is just beyond imagination. More, you know, it is. People shouldn't be looking back at older release cycles and going, "Oh, we got more back in the day than we do now." People should be looking at 11th edition and 12th edition and being like, this is the biggest expansion, the biggest explosion of Warhammer 40k models, ranges, all that kind of stuff. This is beyond anything unprecedented in the history of tabletop wargaming. That's what we need. That's what we need. And it needs to be not all... Because even when you get whole new factions like Emperor's Children, really it's like 4 units and then a bunch of other shit that they get as hand-me-downs. Nah. I'm talking Emperor's Children, 30 unique units. Is it 30? How? That's not possible. It is possible. It is absolutely fucking possible. Totally and utterly possible. That's what I'm saying. So that's just like my theory. But that's what I think GW needs to do. They need to reclaim the hype train. Because if they're not careful, GW will find that the hype train's left them behind. And, you know, everyone says too big to fail. You know what? How many companies have we heard of too big to fail? And then they fucking did. So you've got to be careful. They do have to be careful. Customers just want to be happy and excited. And the easiest way you make them happy and excited is by giving them more products to buy. Yeah. Go like per. They'll never do it. They'll just continue by doing the absolute bare fucking minimum. People keep buying. This dude, you very well may be right, but do you know what's crazy, Godlike Poet? They've only done this in the last 2 years. They've only done it in the last 2 years. God, dude, when the Sisters of Battle got I think Sisters got released in 8th edition. Gods almighty, you guys have no idea. What I described is 8th edition. Gods, you have no idea what 8th... If you missed 8th edition, you've no idea. It was a renaissance. It was fucking unreal. It was fucking unreal, boys. It was... We lost some things in 8th. F in the chat for... F in the chat for Renegades and Heretics and for Elysian Drop Troopers. But by and large... So many new factions. Gene Stealer Cult, Sisters of Battle. Just like, honestly, it was the perfect storm of everything got ported over from Old Hammer and games, and then look, all the new Primaris stuff. All the new Primaris stuff was coming out then. Yeah, 8th edition was an edition of Gain. And it's met, GW has the capacity to do it. But that's because GW, thing is, why was 8th edition of Gain and 10th edition of Lost? Because in 8th edition, GW had to fucking come crawling hands and knees back to the fan base to beg us to come back. So they had to put the work in because they had to win us back. 10th edition, they're like, you guys are already fucking here, so we don't need to put the work in. Games Workshop, absolutely, I guarantee you, I promise you this, modern corporate Games Workshop absolutely has the capacity to blow our minds. We just have to make them do it. We want them to do it, but we have to make them do it. Anyway, shall we get back to trying to build this house? I'm probably not going to finish it. Would you like to know more? If so, then please consider becoming a channel member or patron. By supporting the channel, not only will you be doing your part, but you'll also be helping me create more content for your viewing pleasure and unlocking a whole host of perks. You get everything from a badge next to your name, custom emojis, but the big one is access to the Mordian Glory Discord server, an online community with almost 2,500 active members. It's always popping off in the MG Discord. We've got channels for army lists, hobbying, tactics, stories, and even a pretty spicy meme section as well. For all you greenhorns that wanted to see the Mordian glory hole, today is your lucky day. And joking aside, I do want to say a massive thank you to all of the current channel members and patrons. You guys are amazing, truly the lifeblood of the channel. I could not do Mordian Glory full-time without the incredible and generous support of my members, so thank you guys so much. And last but certainly not least, I want to say a personal thank you to all of my top tier Patreons. These are the War Masters, the people who have truly gone above and beyond the call of duty. So a heartfelt thank you to Redfield, 32, Jurgens, Miasma, Try Again, Bragg, RJ, Scorpion, Bonbon Vert, Lord Pryor, Nicholas Walsh, John Stubbs, Guardian, Varney, Sword, Fish Trombone, Picklock the Forged. Seriously guys, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Your support is incredible and it makes a huge difference. Thank you so much. That's all for now. Hope you've all enjoyed today's video, and of course, as always, see you guys next time.